Hello everyone. In this video, we are gonna explore our SDK repository, move into our blog, as well as run actions with ChatGPT. So let's go. So this is the Composio SDK repository, and I want to make you a little familiar with this because this is the library or a bunch of library you are gonna use. So here we can see we have a Composio source directory which contains a core SDK, and we have docs. Then this contains all the examples of different plugins we have, and this folder contains the plugins themselves. And these are something more. But the special thing I wanted to show you is in this core SDK we have this enums, and this is gonna be very important for us in the future because if we are going to use any specific app or any specific action of some app APIs or Facebook's integration endpoints, you're gonna use app.facebook. And if you are going to use some specific and this specific endpoint of Dropbox get about me, you will use action.dropbox get about me. And we also support triggers. So if you are gonna use any trigger, you will use like trigger.github pull request event. And in the later videos, we will show you exactly where to use those. And now in our site, we also have a blog section where we are building very cool examples with Composio, how innovative ways you can utilize agentic integrations with real agents. And here are some examples. So take a look, and if you like it, just subscribe. Now, we are gonna learn how to use Composio tools and actions with our very own ChatGPT or GPT-4. So, we will use this integration that we have with OpenAI to utilize our integration functions with OpenAI LLMs. So, let's start. If we go to the Composio website and we go to the docs, we find we have page about the OpenAI integration. And these are the steps that we are going to follow. In the previous videos, we already have logged into Composio with our account and we have authenticated our GitHub to Composio. So if you have done those, let's start from here. The first step is you have to install Composio's OpenAI integration, which we'll do now. So we do pip install Composio OpenAI, and it's that simple. So now let's move to the code. First, we import everything, and to run this, we need the OpenAI API key. And for that, you can either store that in your environment variable, or you can load that in from this .env file. We are loading from this .env file. Now let's use the Composio toolset that we are providing with our Composio plugin. What we have to do is we can either use some app or some integration as a whole or some specific functions from it. Like from this action object, you can use any of the actions from any of the apps. Here I am searching for GitHub Get about me, and let's run this. Yeah, we have the function calling schema for that. And we also can use some app as a whole. Like here, we can call GitHub app as a whole, and we get all the function schemas that are defined for GitHub at this moment. Now, what we need to do is we add these as function schemas in OpenAI client. So we initialize the OpenAI client. We fix a task, which in this case is starting a repository. The expectation is using our Composio's function schemas, GPT-4 or the any LLM we use will be able to do proper function calling and select the function that is responsible for this specific task. Here we can see that from all the GitHub tools, we will need the starting repository tools, which is somewhere in this whole list of functions. So let's run this and we get a response, which is basically some function call. But this is just the result. The function hasn't been called yet. Let's go to the repository and see the current state. So this is the repository and we haven't made any start to this repository yet. Let's refresh this. Yeah, we don't have provided any start to this. Now let's take our response and let's handle the tool call. We run this and we get that execution is true. And we don't have any response data in this case. Let's again go to this repository and refresh the page. And wow, this repository has been started. So this is basically the magic of Composio. So if you have any specific task in mind, you can add task specific actions. And if you want to use the tool as a whole, then you can just use the tool as a whole. And another thing, you cannot actually load hundreds of functions with an LLM. So we have some other strategy for that so that the performance degradation due to adding a lot of functions in an LLM doesn't happen. And we'll discuss about that later in some video. So here, this is how you can use any of our tools and any of our actions. So this is for the video. Thank you everyone. Let's build something great with Composio.